Okay, as we said every week, this class is in memory of Jared Orchen. And today we're going to learn about Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. Lag BaOmer is coming up. It's a day of weddings also. Lag BaOmer is the yahrzeit of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. Now, what do you know about Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai? I think this story in the Talmud that we're going to learn will give us an understanding who he was. He was the author of the Zohar, the Bible of the Kabbalah. Let's read from inside. We'll start a little bit, and we'll go there. We'll read from the third paragraph almost, from in the first column. The Gemara relates how this occurred.
It once happened that our Yehuda...
Rabbi, every R is Rabbi.
Okay, Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai were sitting together, and Yehuda ben Gerim was sitting next to them.
There was a meeting of three very famous rabbis, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, Rabbi Yehuda bar Ilai, and Rabbi Yossi. They had a meeting. Who was sitting next to him? Yehuda ben Gerim. Yehuda ben Gerim was also a good Jew. He was a son of converts, and he was a disciple of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. And they had a conversation. Obviously, it looks like a simple conversation, but it wasn't so simple. Go ahead.
Rabbi Yehuda opened the discussion and said, "How admirable are the deeds of this nation. The Romans who ruled Eretz Yisrael at the time."
Okay, what happened was it was in the time of the Romans, maybe before Bar Kokhba revolution, maybe after Bar Kokhba's revolution, but it was this time that the Romans were oppressing Jewish people in a terrible way in Israel. It was the decrease of Adrianus. We couldn't make a breeze, and you couldn't do it. And the killing of Jews was like, Jewish blood was spilled like water. And in this time, Rabbi Yehuda decided to speak, to praise the nation that controls Israel, the Romans. What he said, go ahead.
Throughout the land, they have established marketplaces. They've established bridges over waterways, and they've established bathhouses.
They established marketplaces. The idea that everybody can come in the center of the city, to organize a city, to have a plan, how to build there is a downtown and a this, that came from the Romans. And they said they make a marketplace is good for everybody. People know where to come. It's not like you have to go for this store in this street, the other store in this street. You come for everything in one place. Then he says, what he wanted to say, they did good things. It's true that they are against the Jewish people, but they still did good things. Then he said the first thing, they made marketplaces. Second thing is they established bridges. And number three, that they made bathhouses. Okay, that was Rabbi Yehuda's speech. Continue.
Upon hearing Rabbi Yehuda's praise for the Roman occupation, Rabbi Yossi remained silent. Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai, however, answered him and said, "Everything they establish only to serve their own needs. They established marketplaces in order to quarter harlots therein. They made bathhouses in order to beautify their own bodies. And they built bridges in order to collect tolls from those who traversed them."
Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai was not ready to give them any credit for anything. He says that's all they did it for their own agenda. They're not here to make the world a better place. It's only for themselves. It's selfish. He didn't allow any. He didn't give him credit for anything. Okay.
The Gemara relates the aftermath of this discussion. Yehuda ben Gerim, who witnessed the exchange...
Basically, if you realize, understand, I'm sorry, what this discussion is, the discussion is, are we on the side of the Romans, or are we to fight the Romans? That's the argument here. And throughout this history of this time, there were rabbis who were strongly against the Romans, and there were rabbis who just with the Romans. For example, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai is a disciple of Rabbi Akiva, who was killed by the Romans, who led the revolution of Bar Kokhba, that he continued in his Rebbe's ways. Where Rabbi Yehuda had the other approach: let's live in peace. We have no choice. We have the Romans. We have to live with them. We have to make it work. And that was two opinions. If you want the right and the left, the more zealous opinion, the more opinion of trying to live in peace with the Romans. That was it. Then it wasn't like they had a little conversation. Oh, they're nice, they're not nice. That was two leaders of opposition of two movements within the Jewish people, and what they said had an effect on thousands of people. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yehuda ben Gerim, who witnessed the exchange between this Tanam, went and recounted their words to some of his associates, and eventually reports of the conversation were heard by the governing authorities.
Okay, he was Yehuda ben Gerim, is called the Judah, son of converts. He was from a convert family, that he had family members who were not Jewish. Somehow he went home, or he repeated this conversation. He didn't report them to the government. What he reported, that he told the story, and the story made it to the government. There were a lot of informers in the Jewish people at that time, and you couldn't say a word. Everything was...
He tweeted it.
Exactly. In today's world. Very good, yeah. See, in a community, you don't need tweeters. Tweet.
They were tweeting before tweeting was popular.
Exactly. Go ahead.
The authorities then proclaimed the following decree. Yehuda, who elevated the stature of the Romans, he too shall be elevated. Yossi, who remained silent and failed to praise the Romans himself, he shall be exiled to the town of Tzipori. And Shimon ben Yochai, who denigrated the Romans, he shall be executed.
Okay, here is the rules. They take out the rules, the judgment. They don't need to see the people. They don't have to talk. No lawyers, no nothing. They issued a decree for all three of them. The person who speaks for the Romans will be rewarded, become a lord, become a big macher. That's how he became the first speaker. One of the things they rewarded them, that in every event he has to be the first one to speak. Rabbi Yossi, who said nothing, who didn't defend the Romans, should be exiled to Tzipori. It was the northern side of Israel. Later, Tzipori became a big center of the Jewish people, but at that time was considered exiled. And Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai should be killed. No. What are you going to do with such a thing? Go ahead.
Upon hearing that a death sentence had been passed upon him, and his son, Rabbi Elazar, ran away and hid in the study hall. Every day, Rabbi Shimon's wife would bring them a bread and a small pitcher of water, and they would eat this to sustain themselves.
Okay, what happened is they ran away, they were hiding in a little synagogue. And the wife used to bring them food to the synagogue. They never left the synagogue. She used to bring water and bread. And that's how they survived.
Why did his son have to go?
The son stayed with his father because he wanted to be with his father, to learn Torah from his father. He didn't have to, but he was very attached to his father. He was like an extension of him. You see in other places he says, if the world can stand on two righteous people, it's me and my son. It was Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai and Rabbi Elazar are like one unit. Go ahead.
When, however, the decree intensified, i.e. the Romans escalated their hunt for the fugitives, Rabbi Shimon said to his son, "The minds of women are easily swayed. Perhaps the Romans will torture your mother, and she will reveal our hiding place to them."
He said they searched and searched for him, and he said, "Why to put your mother in such a bad test? If she will know they'll torture her, and eventually she might even give out the secret. She's better off that she doesn't know where we are." Now, in Russia, they were always trying to avoid to tell each other even secrets. He says, "Why you need to know a secret about me? That if they torture, you'll have to give it out. Better you don't know. If you don't know, you don't know. Nobody can do anything to you." Then what was his plan? Go ahead.
With this consideration in mind, the two sought out a more secure hiding place, whose location would be unknown even to Rabbi Shimon's wife. They then went and hid themselves in a cave. Food was thus no longer brought to them, but a miracle happened, and a carob tree and a spring of water were created for them, and they drew their sustenance from these sources.
They were sitting in a cave, eating a carob tree. Obviously can survive by this, with water, and that's enough for them. They were skinny, they were vegans. Vegans eat carob trees. And in this way they survived. And the Talmud continues to tell the story, how long, how complicated it was. Go ahead.
The Gemara recounts their daily routine in hiding. They would shed their clothes and would sit covered in sand up to their necks.
What they did is they dig 2 holes, and a hole they did is to take off the clothing, sneak themselves into the holes, cover themselves with a little dirt, and learn Torah like this.
Why did they do that?
Because to keep the clothing,
Fresh.
I mean, they have one set of clothing, right? They don't know how long they're going to be down.
Yeah.
Then they only put on, as the Gemara will say soon, they only put on the clothing for prayers. Only when they pray, they put on the clothing.
But they had a spring of water.
What?
They didn't wash their
I'm like,
clothes.
they had a spring of water, they could have washed their clothes. But
Maybe it's not a contradiction. They might wash the clothing, but they were afraid they will use it so long they'll fall apart.
They're in there for
That's true.
13 years.
Right.
They didn't know for how long, but they knew they are there for a journey.
And would sit covered up in sand up to their necks. All day long they would study together, and when the times for prayer arrived, they would dress, cover themselves, and pray. Then they would return and shed their clothes, immersing themselves in sand once again, so that their clothes would not wear out from prolonged use.
There you go. The Talmud tells us why. Okay, not a bad idea to be in a cave in the sun, sitting in the... Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
The Gemara continues. They dwelled secluded in the cave for 12 years. Then, one day, Elijah the prophet came and stood at the mouth of the cave. And he proclaimed, "Who will inform the son of Yochai that the Caesar has died, and that the decree has been annulled?" Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai and his son heard this, and they emerged from the cave.
12 years later, Elijah is talking to him. Elijah was a very frequent guest in the cave. Elijah told them, in these 12 years they were in the cave, they were writing the book of the Zohar. Revelations of Elijah the prophet, who came to them as an angel. And there is another story about Elijah that's not in this Gemara, it's in a different place. That once there were people coming to visit him in the caves. Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair, as we're going to learn about them, is Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai's son-in-law used to come to visit them in the cave. Means some people knew about it, not his wife, but other people knew about it. And once Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, Pinchas ben Yair came to the cave and he met Elijah there. As a spirit, I don't know how he looked like. I never saw him, I cannot tell you. And he asked Elijah, right? Elijah is supposed to be the person who will tell us when Moshiach is coming, right?
Mm-hmm.
Rahman, we say in the blessing, the grace after meal, then Elijah, God will send us Elijah the prophet to give us good tidings, tell us about the coming of Moshiach. That's why we're waiting for Elijah. We have a cup of Elijah by the Kiddush, by the Seder. That's why we sing Eliyahu Navi every Saturday night, because he wished that Elijah should come and tell us Moshiach is coming. Pinchas ben Yair sees Elijah. How could you miss the opportunity? He tells him, Rabbi Elijah, when is Moshiach coming? The Talmud says, Elijah told him, "What are you asking me? Go ask Moshiach." Obviously he knew where to go. Because I don't know where to go. You don't know either, right? He went somewhere. He told them, go on he's sitting on the entrance of the gate of Rome, and he's having his, he has like, basically he's sitting by the gates of Rome, he's in pain and so on. Go and ask him. Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair went to ask Moshiach when he's coming. He comes to him, he says, "Ei Masai Kosimar, when is the master coming? When are you coming?" He told them, "Today." Good news, right? Who wouldn't want to hear this news? Today. He runs back to tell Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai that today he will be released from the cave, from all the tzores. By the time he makes it to the cave back, the day is over. He comes to the cave, Elijah is waiting for him. He said, no, what did he tell me? He told me today, the day is over. Told him he didn't understand. He says, today, there is a verse in the Bible that says, Ayom im bekolot ishma'u. Today, if we will listen to what Hashem tells us, that if we will do tshuva, Moshiach can come today. But it's not just today. If we'll do, that was the answer. That's how Elijah explained to Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair what Mashiach said. That it will come today. If we will do tshuva, it could come today, even now. But if you don't do tshuva, Mashiach is not coming yet. As we see, he's not here yet. Once the Rebbe told the story on Simchas Torah, on the Farbrengen, and he told the story, it's a famous story everybody knows, that Mashiach told him today, and Elijah explained him, yeah, today, if we will do what Hashem wants. Then the Rebbe was asking, why Mashiach didn't say it straight? Today, if he will listen to my voice. Why Mashiach says today? Then he has to go and be disappointed. Then Elijah has to give him an explanation what means today. Why Mashiach was not straight with him? The Rebbe said something amazing. The Rebbe said, if the question is when Mashiach is coming, the answer is today. Today! If Mashiach didn't come, we have to look for excuses. Why he didn't come today? Because we didn't do enough mitzvahs, But the attitude of a Jew, Mashiach was teaching this story, tells us an attitude. A person has to be ready for the coming of Mashiach today. Somebody asks you, when is Mashiach coming? Hey, we will do the right thing. No. Mashiach is coming today. If we cannot make it today, then we say, you know why yesterday we didn't do enough mitzvahs, today we'll do a little more, we'll come today. But a person has to live his life like Mashiach is coming today. And if you live your life like this, your life will be much more, much less stress, much less aggravation, because in your life, you'll be much more ready for Mashiach. You'll do more good deeds. Every time if you refuse a good deed, you think to yourself, Mashiach is coming today. He's walking in, what am I going to tell him? I remember when the Rebbe said that, he says, Moshe, when the question is, when is Mashiach coming? The answer is, Ayom. The Rebbe gave a scream that the whole building was shaking. Mashiach is coming. A person has to live his life that Mashiach is coming today. So
that's the Mashiach now theme, right?
That's the Mashiach now theme. Mashiach is coming now. Not like Mashiach will come. Eventually, one day, the Jewish people, they believe in something, maybe will come. We'll live with it. That's all. It's in the continuation that Elijah, after 12 years in the cave, Elijah is the one who came and told them that the Caesar died and the decree is over. Could be they knew the Caesar died, but they were not sure that they were still afraid to get out. I mean, the police didn't die. The king, the emperor died. Not everybody died, but he told him he can leave. Okay. You read already? Martel, you read already?
Yes.
Then you read?
Yes.
Oh, then you go. In the bottom of the page.
As they ventured back to civilization, they saw some people who were plowing and sowing crops there. Mm-hmm. Angered by this, Shimon ben Yochai declared, "These people are forsaking the pursuit of life of the world to come, and occupying themselves instead with the concerns of the transitory life."
He says they are busy with nonsense, going to work, plowing. They should learn Torah. This is something you learn Torah. You do a mitzvah. It's forever. And when you learn Torah, it's something forever. You're busy with business, with making a living. They couldn't believe they were so elevated from the physical world after 12 years in the cave, so removed from civilization that they couldn't relate to people going to work. They couldn't understand. They were, sometimes when you're involved in such a holy mission, according to your opinion, no matter what the mission is, and then you see people doing stupid things. He said, it's now such an important situation here and there, everybody's busy with this nonsense. It happened to people who come from war, like soldiers who come from war, and they go in the main city and saw people going out for movies and having fun in the bars. He says, my friends are being killed and you are having fun here? You're busy with nothing? That Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai, after 12 years learning the Zohar, having Elijah revealing himself and so on and on and on and on, he couldn't relate to normal life. And what happened? And go ahead.
And therefore, everywhere Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai and his son would cast their gaze, the object of their vision would immediately be incinerated. Finally,
they were so holy, whatever they looked on, Burned.
Wow.
Okay.
Finally, a heavenly voice rang out and proclaimed to them, "Have you emerged from seclusion in order to destroy my world? Return to your cave."
A heavenly voice came out and says, "Guys, don't ruin my world. God created this beautiful world. It's God's world. God made people go to war. God calls it a garden, a beautiful place. You're coming out and you're destroying my world. Go back to who gave you permission to destroy my world? Go back to the cave." They needed to go in the cave to
They were half baked. They needed to go.
It's called in today's day a recalculation. It's like the GPS, recalculating.
Reboot.
There's a lot of spiritual lessons to be learned from the GPS. One of them is the recalculating. A person should recalculate from time to time, maybe every more times than not. Okay.
So the two went and returned to the cave, and dwelled there another 12 months, a full year in all. At that point they said to themselves, "The sentence of evildoers in Gehenna endure for no more than 12 months. Perhaps our sentence has expired by now as well."
There's a strange connection. What is the connection with the sentence of the Gehenna of the Rishonim? First of all, it's a good opportunity to speak about it. You know, we say Kaddish for 11 months. Because every neshama, the worst person, is being judged for 12 months. Then by saying Kaddish, we help him throughout the process to come to peace. Then why we say for 11 months? Because we don't want to assume that our parent, our loved one, is the worst person. That's why we say 11 months. When you say 11 months, it's like 11 months in a day. It's like the beginning of the 12th month, it's already considered like a full month. That's why we say for... Now, why is he connecting it with the Gehenna, with this? Because this time when they went to the cave, not because they were running away from the government, the 12 years the cave was Garden of Eden. It was amazing, it was heaven. They enjoyed every minute of it, obviously. I mean, spiritually enjoyed. They were learning the Zohar. Now, it was like being in hell. It's like we're being denied from real life. More than that. Obviously, in the cave, they couldn't fulfill many mitzvahs. Couldn't build a sukkah in the cave, right? I don't think they baked matzah in the cave, right? But as long as they couldn't because they had no choice, fine. This time, this odd extra year, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai also wanted to do, even that in his world, the Torah is the highest level, and it's written that even for prayers, it was a time that for prayers that not necessarily stopped every day. I think they stopped once in 30 days or whatever. But he also wanted the opportunity now that he can do mitzvahs and there is no Caesar and no nothing and he's denied from it. It's like the worst thing a person can have. That's why he was so upset about it. After 12 months.
Oh.
Yeah.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh.
A heavenly voice.
A heavenly voice then rang out and proclaimed, "Emerge from your cave." The Gemara recounts their second return to civilization. They emerged from the cave and again encountered people seeking their livelihood through ordinary means. This time, though, everywhere Rabbi Eliezer would destroy something through his fiery gaze, Rabbi Shimon, his father, would heal it.
Basically, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai understood that this is not, you have to allow other people to live their lives. Rabbi Eliezer was the son, he was younger, he was more enthusiastic, he was more of a zealot. Then whatever Rabbi Eliezer messed up, his father cured. Go ahead. Go ahead, continue.
Presently, Rabbi Shimon said to Rabbi Elazar, "My son, the world has had enough total devotees of Torah study in you and me alone. We need not hold others to our standard of devotion and diligence."
He understood. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai told them, this level is for me and you, and it's good enough for the world. They basically, there is another place that Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai says that he can take away, he himself, with his merit, can redeem the whole world. You know, we have a rainbow. What's the sign of a rainbow? What's the reason why there is a rainbow in the world?
Because it's a sign that Hashem won't destroy the world again.
Hashem will not destroy the world again. Why?
By flood, at least.
By a flood, yes.
Yeah.
No, they will not destroy the whole world. Why we need a rainbow?
Reminder?
It's a covenant. It's
A reminder. What is this? Why we need a reminder?
We forget a lot.
It means,
The older we get,
right,
the more we forget.
the reminder is, so to speak, to say that we really deserve it, and just because Hashem didn't promise, therefore will never happen. In the time of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, the rainbow was never sown. Because he was enough that the world should have a reason to exist. That's what Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai was, that he tells here to his son, we are enough. This level of righteousness, this live for us. We cannot demand and all the rest of the world to our standards. It's not good for the world, it's not good for them, it's not realistic, it's not anything. And that's what the person has to remember when he looks at other people. From ourselves, we have to demand the highest level of spirituality. But we should not hold other people to our standards. Usually people like to hold other people to a higher standard than they hold themselves. He should be better. He is this and that and this. He should be better. I'm not such a great tzaddik. What do you want from me? Here we see the opposite. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai is on a higher level. He says to his son, we cannot hold the rest of the world to our standard. Leave them alone. Okay. The Gemara continues.
The Gemara continues, as night began to fall late Friday afternoon, Shimon and his sons saw a certain old man who was clutching 2 bundles of myrtles and was running home with them as twilight descended. They said to him, these myrtle bundles, for what do you need them? He answered them, they are in honor of the Sabbath.
Okay, let's stop right here. He was buying flowers for Shabbat. Sounds
What
familiar?
a nice things.
Isn't this nice? He wanted that the house should smell good for Shabbos. That he had the bundles of adassim, myrtles.
Yeah.
I mean, people buy other flowers, but the concept of buying flowers for Shabbat comes from this story. They asked him, what are you doing it for? He says, for Shabbat. Then they continue to ask him, go ahead.
But could you not have sufficed with just 1 bundle?
What do you need to?
He answered them, one is for Zachor and one is for Shemor.
Aha. What he told them? He told them there is in the Ten Commandments, the Ten Commandments are written twice in the Torah. Once in the book of Exodus, the other time in the book of Deuteronomy, in Parshas Vayischanan, and in the book of Exodus in Parshas Yitro, in Jethro. One place it's written, the first time it's written, remember the Shabbos to sanctify it, Zachor et Yom HaShabbat lekadsho, Zachor. And another time in the Deuteronomy it's written, Shamor et Yom HaShabbat, safeguard the Shabbos. 2 expressions. And as we say on Friday night, anybody who comes Friday night service knows we sing in the first Lechad Odi, Zachor v'Shamor b'dibur echad. That Zachor and Shamor in one utterance. God said both of them. He said Zachor, and a human being can say, oh, remember the Shabbos, or observe it. Cannot say the same thing in 1 second. God can say it together. Then God said both of them together. It means to say Zachor. What is Zachor? What is the demand from Zachor at Yom HaShabbat?
To remember to
How you
honor-
remember the Shabbat?
To honor, to
How you honor the Shabbat?
Like candles.
Light candles. What else?
you're festive, you're happy. And
Zachor is to remember by all the action of doing, praying, making kiddush, all the things that you do. Shamor, like Shomer Shabbos, observe, like guarding. How you guard it?
Not to do
By
anything.
not to do what you're not allowed to do. Then there is to remember and there is to guard. Then this man told them, this Sabbath, this old man told them, I'm taking 2, one for Zachor, one for Shamor. That's one of the reasons why we light 2 candles. Friday night, one for Zachor, one for Shamor. Not only for husband and wife, that's a good, nice explanation, but the deeper explanation is one for Zachor, one for Shamor. Okay.
Hearing this, Rabbi Shimon said to his son, look how cherished the mitzvahs are to the Jewish people. Each nuance of the law they celebrate separately, and they were appeased.
He saw this story gave them comfort that the Jewish people, the simple guys who go to work, is cherishing not only a mitzvah, not only honoring the Shabbat, he wants to remember the 2 expressions, the 2 orders of the law, the 2 parts of the law. He says, look how much every Jew loves the mitzvahs. then Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai was one to find good things about other Jews, to celebrate the Jewish people, to defend them, and to... Go ahead.
The story continues. Eventually, Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair, the son-in-law of Rabbi Shimon, heard that Rabbi Shimon had emerged from hiding, and he went out to greet him. He escorted him to the bathhouse and was massaging his flesh. When he saw that there were cracks in the Rabbi Shimon's skin, seeing these painful vestiges...
Okay, what happened here? Rabbi Shimon and Rabbi Elazar were sitting in the caves, in the dirt, without clothing. Then the skin dried out. After 13 years, you can just imagine what was going on there. Then he took him to, you know where he took him? To Tiberias. Yeah, to Auschwitz, in Tiberia, what it's called? No, in Tveria, there is Chamei Tveria, it's called in Hebrew. The springs in Tiberia, what is called the springs?
Hot springs?
Hot springs. In Tveria is natural hot springs. That's where he took him to cure his skin.
Seeing these painful vestiges of years spent in abrasive sand, Rabbi Pinchas began to cry, and as tears trickled from his eyes, they fell upon the cracks in Rabbi Shimon's skin and caused him to cry out in pain.
He cried, but he did. Sometimes you cry of mercy can cause somebody else.
Thereupon Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair said to his father-in-law, "Woe unto me for having seen you like this." Rabbi Shimon replied to him, "On the contrary, fortunate are you for having seen me like this, for had you not seen me in such a state, bearing the marks of physical agony, you would have not found within me such the great insight in Torah that I now possess."
What he told them is, yeah, I suffered, but the suffering raised me to a much, much higher level. You know, nobody is looking for suffering. But after you have it, you don't give it away, so to speak. The previous Lubavitcher Rebbe was in jail. He was jailed by the communists in Russia. And he says, before the jail, I wouldn't want to do it. But now I'll never give it away for any price in the world. The experience, the elevation that he had from going to jail, from giving his life for Judaism, elevated him to a level that he didn't have before. That's what Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai says. Yeah, because of this, I reached such a high spiritual level in Torah and everything that I wouldn't have it before that. We'll skip the next paragraph and we'll continue the paragraph. The Gemara relates the concluding segment of the episode.
The Gemara relates the concluding segment of the episode. Rabbi Shimon said, "Since a miracle was performed to rescue me, I shall go and remedy something to benefit the community." The Gemara pauses.
Isn't this an interesting thing? It says, I want to give, I never understood. The American concept of giving back to the community, it's coming right from here. And where is it? Where Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai took it? He took it from even something earlier. Go ahead.
The Gemara
Ryan, you want to continue?
The Gemara pauses to mention scriptural precedent for such a concept. For indeed, when the Torah relates that Jacob was saved from harm at the hand of Esau, the verse states, Jacob arrived intact. And Rav said this means that miraculously he arrived intact in all respects. Intact in terms of his body, intact in terms of his wealth, and intact in terms of his Torah knowledge.
We all know the story with Jacob. Jacob met Esau, and he made the angel of Esau, and he had a fight with him, and he won it. And then he met Esau, and he thought he was preparing himself for the worst, and actually it came out beautiful. Then he came back to Shalem. He came back after the meeting with Esau. He came back completely with his money. Even he gave a gift, a big gift to Esau. He still was not. He didn't become poor. He was complete in his body because he remembered the story that the angel touched his his sight, his hips, and then he was cured. He was cured from it, and then he was in the complete in his Torah. He didn't lose anything of his spirituality. Then what happened? What he did?
And immediately after this, the same verse states, and he encamped before the city. And Rav said, this indicates that our forefather Jacob established a new coin for the city. And Shmuel said he established marketplaces for them. And Rabbi Yochanan said he established bathhouses for them.
But interesting, almost the three things that
Right.
they talk about the Romans. He says he made coins for them, he made marketplaces, and he made bed houses. The point, whatever they say it means to say he gave back to the community. He made the city a better place. That's what the Torah wants to say. He came into the city by the city. That means to say he enhanced the city one way or another. That from this, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai learned from the story of Jacob that when Hashem makes you a miracle, you have to give back to the community. You have to do the world a better place. You have to pay back, so to speak. Go ahead. We thus find
that Jacob expressed his thanks for a miracle by establishing some sort of municipal benefit to the community, and it was this precedent that Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai sought to follow.
You know, some people say, Hashem made me a miracle, I'll go, I'll daven, I'll thank God. That's nice. Where is the cash? You make miracles. Do something that other people can benefit. God made you benefit. Make other people to benefit. Thanking God, praying, I thank God so much. That's very beautiful. The Gemara resumes its narrative.
Thus, Rabbi Shimon said to the communal leaders, "Is there something here that needs improvement?" They replied to him, "There is a certain place in the vicinity that has questionable status in regard to Tuma, and it is difficult for the Kohanim to circumvent the area."
Which place was it? It was the city of Tiberias. The Kohens couldn't. It was not clear. The city had a lot of cemeteries, and it was not clear where is a cemetery, where is not. And the Kohens were not comfortable to go there. Then they said, if you want to help something the community, there is a place, there is something to help the community. Tiberia was established by whom? Who knows a little history? Huh?
Wasn't that the Roman?
Yeah, the Roman was one of the emperors. It's called Tiberius. That was his name. It's not an old city. It's not a biblical city, so to speak. And the Jews didn't live there. One of the reasons why they didn't live there because it was cemeteries there. They were not. The Kohanes didn't know where to go.
They had to wrap themselves in plastic.
Exactly. And they were not so smart. They couldn't write in plastic. Then they go there. Go ahead.
Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai thus took upon himself the task of making the area accessible to Kohanim. Rabbi Shimon said, "Is there perhaps someone who knows that a presumption of Tahara had been established here at one time?"
If there is one place that we know for sure you're allowed to walk, so to speak, there is no grave sites there. He says anybody knows about a certain path that there is no grave sites there. That he told them, go ahead, a certain elderly person.
A certain elderly person replied to him, "I remember that here in this very place Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai used to cut lupines of teruma. Thus at that time it was evidently considered a tahar area."
Truma, things for truma you have to bring it must be pure. And Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai on top of it was a Kohen. That Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai was here and he took from this place for truma, obviously it was a place that's pure. Because a Kohen is not allowed to go into a cemetery. And if he went there, obviously it was pure. Truma is like a tithe, it's a donation that you give to the Kohen.
Holy. It's holy.
Is there a difference between going through, let's say, a battlefield for a Kohen? And unfortunately people obviously get killed in battlefields. And a Kohen walk, but they're not buried there.
If they're not buried, that's another problem. So it's only if there is if they're there. If they're not there, they're not there. No, if they one time somebody was there and they removed them, no, it's not a problem at all.
Then why is it a problem for to go to Berkowitz?
You cannot. It's not only a cemetery. You cannot be under the same roof with a dead body.
So it's a roof. So the
battlefield
is
no, the battlefield is open, sure. But in a building, the question even about a hospital today. You walk into a hospital for sure. Somewhere in the building is somebody dead. It's a big problem.
So they don't walk into hospitals.
This guy with a nylon doesn't go to hospitals. I can promise you this. Yeah, even.
Do they consider the hospital one roof? Or
it's one roof. It's one big roof. If Cleveland Clinic is connected to buildings, it's a problem.
But at Berkowitz, they have separate.
In Berkowitz, the lobby has a separate roof.
Smart.
It's built in a special way that the Kohen can be in the lobby. The little lobby there, a Kohen can stay there. Yeah, I didn't know that either. Yeah, then, but you cannot be in the. A Kohen is a special obligation. A Kohen is holy. Go ahead. Where are we? Oh yeah. Those.
Thus informed, Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai went about his task. So Rabbi Shimon also did the same. He traversed the entire area, and everywhere the ground was hard, he pronounced tahor. And everywhere that the ground was soft, he marked off as tameh. The Kohanim were thus able to travel through the area, for they now simply avoided the locations marked as tameh.
Basically, he purified the place. He cleared the way. It was like a minefield. He went and he says, here is a gravesite, here is not, here is this, here is not. To decide, because the ground is soft or hard, I can say too, but you need a Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai with the spiritual powers to know where is pure and where is impure. And I remember somewhere, then another way of pronouncing that the city is pure is by himself going to the springs of Tiberia and bathing himself there. He made a statement, you can go to the city. And by this he legitimized the city. That's what he did. Okay, Rabbi Shimon.
Rabbi Shimon did, however, encounter some criticism of his efforts.
Yeah, surprise, by Jewish people.
Afterwards, that same elderly person who informed Rabbi Shimon of the prior status of the area said sardonically, "Look, Ben Yochai has made a cemetery tahor."
Sardonically, I never heard this word. What does this mean? It's like
sarcastic.
Sarcastically, but sardonically, I never. Sounds like sardines. I mean.
I think it's almost evenly.
Okay, I'm sorry, Luke. What's the difference between sarcastic and sardonically?
There's a little bit more evil.
Okay, you already checked. Oh, no. Okay, go ahead, continue. David is checking.
Mark already knows.
Huh?
Yeah, Mark already knows.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Look, Ben Yochai has made a cemetery tahor. Rabbi.
He said, "Look, Shimon ben Yochai made a cemetery pure."
Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai replied to him, "Had you not been with us when we set about our task, or even had you been with us, but had not been counted among us as one of those who agreed to this cause of action, then what you are saying would have been fine. But now that you were with us and you were counted among us, what you have said has terrible consequences."
It says like this: you were a part of us. I asked you the first time, right? You told us this. You were a part of the team. Now you turn around and against that. What is this? If you were from day one, you will say, "I don't believe in it. I don't think you should do it." Fine. Go ahead. Hearing your words,
people will say, even harlots braid one another's hair. Should Torah scholars not certainly be respectful of one another? Rabbi Shimon then set his eyes upon him, and he perished.
He told him, even there is an expression in the Talmud, this expression, even harlots take care of each other. Torah scholars should fight. Said enough, Torah scholars fight many times. You know, there is a statement in the Talmud that rabbis bring peace to the world. That I heard from a rabbi, he said that shows that the Talmud has a sense of humor. Then he said, but Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai, there was no humor there. He looked at him, and the guy died. Finished, over. The Gemara concludes.
Later, Rabbi Shimon went out to the marketplace, and there he saw Yehuda ben Gurin, the person whose words brought about the decree had originally threatened Rabbi Shimon's life.
You remember Yehuda ben Gurin, the guy who because of him was all the Tzores? He saw him 13 years later, is he?
No mercy.
Go ahead.
Is this one still in the world? He set his eyes upon him and turned into a heap of bones.
So we learned in in the
Don't,
parsha.
he said, right, don't mess with them.
No, don't mess with them. But I mean, this is sort of contrary with the parsha was talking about.
Why it's contrary?
To
what?
Because you shouldn't take revenge or.
It's a good question. Very good question. He said you shouldn't take revenge. Then first of all, you can say, this is a guy who, you know what the law of an informer is? To a government who hates Jews. An informer, it's a mitzvah to kill him. A mitzvah to kill him. Because to a government like the Romans, if you give over people to, it's like killing them.
Yeah, but he didn't.
Then he was afraid, maybe this guy can do more so. Obviously, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai was not in the business of taking revenge. But here comes Kabbalah. Here we need Kabbalah. You're right. What's going on here? You all heard about reincarnation, right? Cain and Abel. Just meant the other day a boy, his name is Cain. Told him, I hope he didn't kill Abel. Cain killed Abel. Wrongly, right? To fix it, they have to come again to the world. No. Who came again as Cain and Abel?
Obviously,
Chapnesh.
Anybody but
Esau came.
Jacob and
Jacob and
Esau.
Esau.
I was thinking.
Jacob and Esau. It's not Cain and Abel. No. Maybe. Not what I'm.
well,
Could be.
there are many of them. Moshe.
Moses is a
and
reincarnation of Abel.
And Cain could be the
be.
Egyptian that he
Very
killed.
good. The Egyptian that he killed was Abel. The Egyptian wanted to make tzoras to the Jewish people. He almost killed the Jew. And the only way Cain was the Egyptian. Cain killed once, he was about to kill again. Right? They gave him an opportunity to be good, and he was about to do the same thing that he did in his past life. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai was a reincarnation of Moses, the third time Abel. Yehuda ben Gerim was the reincarnation of Cain the third time. Now in Judaism, it's written in Kabbalah that 3 times God gives you a chance. But Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai said, this guy is still around. He messed up. He was supposed to save lives, not to put people. He again was against Abel. He again went after Abel. Cain went again after Abel. That says he's done. He has no chance. That's where you need Kabbalah to make, if you can say, making sense of it, but it gives a little more, bigger perspective of this whole
Except
story.
in the original part of the story we saw, he didn't actually go out to tell the government.
I understand. First of all,
He wasn't so careful.
It came to his end. That's the point. It came to him. He was the vehicle for it. Willingly or unwillingly. He should be smarter and not talk so much. Whatever. It came to his end. It doesn't have to be that he physically did it.
I thought Maimonides was the reincarnation of Moshe.
Maimonides?
Moses to Moses.
Yeah.
It's written that Moses to Moses was nobody like Moses. Could be. In general, every great leader, we say that is reincarnation of Moses. But there is 3 who are clearly reincarnation of Moses. It's written about Hillel. Hillel lived to be 120 years. The famous Hillel houses in every college. He was a reincarnation of Moses.
Rabbi Akiva.
Rabbi Akiva, who lived to be 120. He was a reincarnation of Moses. And one more, who also lived to be 120.
After them or before?
Before. Between Hillel and Rabbi Akiva. And we actually mentioned his name in this Gemara, but you just learned today.
Ezekiel?
No, it's one of the rabbis.
Oh, one of the rabbis. Oh.
Hillel was in the middle of Second Temple. Rabbi Akiva was by the destruction of Beitam. Elijah lived much before that, guys. Elijah is a prophet.
They don't say he's a rabbi.
I said a rabbi.
All right.
The Rashbi, but I don't think so.
Rashbi, we just spoke about Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai.
Yosef.
No?
No, Eliezer.
No? We learned about him. He was mentioned like a by the way.
Oh, by the way.
If you would pay attention.
Oh, I'll sleep at the rock.
A rabbi that was mentioned here lived between Hillel and Rabbi Akiva, and he lived to be 120 years. And he's a famous rabbi. You heard his name here and there.
He lived during the Romans then.
Obviously.
There's a lot of good rabbis.
Yeah, there are a lot of good rabbis, you're right. A lot of good guys. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. He mentioned him that he was taking the Truma on the field. He was a Kohen, and he lived to be 120. Then you need to understand that the spark of Moses can go in every Jew there is a spark of Moses. It can be in every generation, can be the leader of the generation is called like Moses, it's like a reincarnation of Moses.
Is there any significance that in total they spent 13 years in the cave, and there was 13 years between the previous incident and the death?
The previous incident of what? Of between the story, between the informing, that they were informed, and until Yehuda ben Gerim died. If there is for this 13 years, if there is a significance for this, I don't know, but 13 years is for sure a number in Judaism. There are 13 attributes of mercy, there is a bar mitzvah 13, everything stays in 13. 13 is a very important number in Judaism. But if that Yehuda ben Gerim lived another 13 years and then he died, I don't know. Maybe. But Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai came out of the cave and continued life, and he had around him a whole group that he taught them Kabbalah. And on Lag BaOmer, he told his disciples that he's going to die, and he was teaching Torah, and it was like a special spirit that they all felt like they are flying in the air. It was like the house like full of smoke, or the Shechina. They felt something more in the place. They were like in a trance. They were like, I mean, in a bad way you can say they were maybe on drugs. I mean, they were on a higher level. And he told them that he wants that on his Yortzeit, he revealed the concept that a neshama is being elevated by every Yortzeit. And he said, therefore, it shouldn't be a day of sadness, it should be a day of joy. He told them that every year, Lag BaOmer, they should celebrate together with him because he's being elevated. And when he died, it took a while. It was the beginning. It took a long time until they recovered and realized that he's dead, that he passed away. He died while he said the word. He was about to say the word life, Chaim, and that's how he died. Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai introduced a new concept to death. Moses, when is the Yortzeit for Moshe Rabbeinu? When is Moses the Yortzeit for Moses?
This day of his birth.
The same day he birthed.
Yeah.
Born.
Adar 7, very good. 7th of Adar. It's considered by the Jewish people a sad day. Lag BaOmer is a day we celebrate. Why? Because Moses looked on his death as a very sad thing. Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai came and brought the inside of the Torah. It's called Pnimiut Torah, the Kabbalah, the mystical part of Judaism, and taught us that the Yortzeit has a positive side too. I mean, after, not when a person dies, but a year later and 2 years later, it's something to celebrate because the neshama is being elevated every year. That's why Moses, who was upset about his death, his Yortzeit is celebrated in a serious way, commemorated in a serious way. Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai was excited about the afterlife that he's going to have. Jewish people celebrate together with them too. Every year, there is in Israel, will be this Sunday will be 500,000 Jews going to Rabbi Shimon to Miron, his graveside, and pray there and have celebrations. And there is some Sephardic Jews who come there a week before and set up tents and sit there and make fire and make meat on the fire. Picnics, and it smells and it's all over.
He's not in Sfat, is he?
He's near
Not from Tzfat.
Okay.
Miron is, you can see from Tzfat, you can see the Mount of Miron, absolutely.
Do people eat the carobs?
I think there is something to it, yeah. And all over Israel, there is fires. Why it's called a medura. They make a big bonfire. Because one of the explanations is that the fire represents the Zohar, is the light that Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai brought to the Jewish world. Even that the Zohar itself, the book of the Zohar, was discovered 1,000 years later. For 1,000 years, almost nobody knew that there is such a book. It's called the Zohar. It's a whole story. And then came a rabbi in Spain, with a Moshe, his name was Rabbi Moshe de Leon, and he started to take out small books of the Zohar. And people started to read and said, whoa, where got this? And he said that he has it from his parents and his grandparents. And yes, for 1,000 years it was a secret. And then came, and it was a big argument if the Zohar is authentic or Moshe de Leon wrote it by himself. But over the years, all the great rabbis realized that if Moshe de Leon wrote it, that is Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. You know what I mean? Yeah. To make up such a thing, nobody can. That you have to do it. You have to be Rabbi. You have to be a Talmudic scholar from the greatest Talmudic rabbis to write it. And the Zohar was accepted by all Jewish people. There's not one. It made it even to the prayer book. We say when you open the ark, we sing. This paragraph that we say when you open the ark is a paragraph that comes from the Zohar. Quote from the Zohar, the whole thing. And there is another few paragraphs that you say Friday afternoon before Mincha. It's called Pasach Eliyah. It's apart from the Zohar. There's a few places that there are quotes from the Zohar in the prayer book. That's how much the Zohar became a part of the Jewish people, accepted by every Jew. That was written by Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. That because of the light that he brought to the Jewish people, we light the fires and we celebrate. And it's an interesting thing. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai is celebrated by everybody. A picnic everybody is doing. Going to Shul to Yom Kippur, it's not everybody is ready to do. But a picnic is something that connects to everyone. Because Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, Kabbalah told us that the specialty of every Jew, no matter who he is. Looking forward to see you on Lag BaOmer.
Is there a connection between this dark side and Rabbi Akiva's students, or is it just...
Rabbi Akiva's students stopped dying, and Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai is one of Rabbi Akiva's later students. That was his Rebbe. Rabbi Akiva was his Rebbe, but later, he was not from the 24,000 students who died, he was from the students who came after that.
Who were the other four?
Rabbi Eliezer, I think, Rabbi Yehuda. It's written. I think some opinions say it's 7. Some opinions say it's 5. Then will not be classes for the next few weeks, and after Shavuos we'll resume classes.